What's up, guys? Mr. Caleb here, and today we're diving into the wacky, the wild, and the downright weird side of history. Buckle up, because we're about to uncover some historical facts so bizarre, so unbelievable, you'll be questioning everything you thought you knew about the past. Did you know that Napoleon once got his butt kicked by a bunch of bunnies? I'm not kidding. Stick around because we're about to uncover some seriously strange stuff. Alright, let's kick things off with a story that proves even emperors can be scaredy cats. Picture this. Napoleon Bonaparte, the legendary French general, conqueror of nations, the guy who could sniff out a military strategy like nobody's business, gets absolutely swarmed by a horde of fluffy bunnies. You can't make this stuff up. It all went down after Napoleon crushed his enemies in the Battle of Marengo. Feeling pretty good about himself, wouldn't you? He decided to celebrate with a good old-fashioned rabbit hunt. His men rounded up like thousands of bunnies for the big event. They thought it'd be an epic display of Napoleon's dominance over nature. Little did they know, the bunnies had other plans. As soon as the rabbits were released, something unexpected happened. Instead of hopping away in fear, they charged straight at Napoleon and his crew. We're talking thousands of fluffy little furballs, teeth bared, transforming from adorable to absolutely terrifying in a matter of seconds. Napoleon and his men were completely caught off guard. They'd faced down armies, but an army of bunnies? This was a new kind of enemy. The emperor, usually fearless in the face of danger, totally panicked. He tried to shoo them away, but the bunnies were relentless. In the end, Napoleon had to make a run for it. He scrambled into his carriage, bunnies hot on his tail, and hightailed it out of there. The mighty Napoleon, defeated by an army of fluffy bunnies. It just goes to show, you never know what's going to come back to bite you in history. Okay, get ready for this one, because it's seriously messed up. In 1518, in the city of Strasbourg, a strange and terrifying phenomenon took hold. People couldn't stop dancing. It all started with a woman named Frau Trophäa. Out of nowhere, she started dancing in the street. And I'm not talking about a little jig, I'm talking full-on, non-stop dancing for days on end. People thought she was a little out there, but then things escalated. Fast. Within a week, over 30 people had joined Frau Trophäa in her bizarre dance marathon. They danced in the streets, they danced in their homes, they danced until they collapsed from exhaustion. Doctors were baffled. They couldn't figure out what was causing this uncontrollable dance fever. Some blamed it on hot blood, others on demonic possession. But whatever the cause, the dancing plague, as it came to be known, was spreading like wildfire. Imagine this. You're just walking down the street minding your own business when suddenly, bam! You're hit with an irresistible urge to dance. You can't stop no matter how much you want to. You dance for days, weeks, even months until your body finally gives out. Hundreds of people were affected by this bizarre affliction. The city tried everything to stop it. They even hired musicians and built a stage, thinking that if people were going to dance themselves to death, they might as well do it in style. But nothing worked. The dancing plague remains one of history's greatest mysteries. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the past is just plain creepy. Let's be real, we've all had some questionable fashion choices, but nothing comes close to the ancient Egyptians and their obsession with fake beards. Yep, you heard me right. These guys were rocking fake facial hair like it was going out of style, which, considering it was ancient Egypt, it probably wasn't. So why the obsession with fake beards? Well, in ancient Egypt, beards weren't just about fashion, they were a status symbol. A long, well-groomed beard was a sign of power, wisdom, and even divinity. And if you weren't blessed with the genes for a glorious beard, no worries, just slap on a fake one. These weren't your cheap Halloween store beards, though. We're talking intricately woven beards made from materials like human hair, animal fur, and even gold. They were styled in different lengths and shapes, depending on the wearer's social status. Even the pharaohs, the rulers of Egypt, rocked these fake beards. They even had special ceremonial beards that were worn for religious ceremonies and important occasions. Imagine going to war, decked out in your finest armor, and your secret weapon is a fake beard. Alright, time for another wild one. Hold on to your hats, because this story involves Australia, a whole lot of emus, and a war that will leave you scratching your head. So picture this, it's 1932, and Australia is facing a crisis, an emu crisis. These giant, flightless birds were wreaking havoc on farmers' crops, and something had to be done. But instead of calling in pest control or, building better fences, the Australian government decided to go big or go home. They declared war on emus. Yes, you heard that right. The Great Emu War had begun. Armed with Lewis machine guns, the Australian army marched into battle against their feathered foes. You'd think this would be an easy win, right? Well, the emus had other plans. These birds were surprisingly cunning. They used their speed and agility to dodge bullets, and their numbers were overwhelming. The soldiers were completely outmatched. The war lasted for a few weeks, with the Australian army suffering a series of embarrassing defeats. They managed to kill a few emus, but for the most part, the birds reigned supreme. In the end, the Australian government was forced to admit defeat. They retreated, tails between their legs, leaving the emus to claim victory. The Great Emu War remains a hilarious and bizarre footnote in Australian history. It's It's a reminder that sometimes even the most powerful opponents can underestimate the power of nature. Get ready for a creepy one, folks. We're traveling back to the Victorian era, a time when mourning was an art form and photography was all the rage. Combine those two, and you get post-mortem photography. That's right, people used to take pictures with their dead loved ones. It sounds morbid, but in the Victorian era, death was a part of everyday life. People died young, and families wanted a way to remember their loved ones. Photography was a new and exciting invention, and it offered a way to create a lasting image of the deceased. These weren't your typical snapshots, though. Photographers would often pose the deceased to look like they were sleeping or even still alive. They'd prop open their eyes, add color to their cheeks, and even pose them with their favorite belongings. Some families even went so far as to pose for family portraits with their deceased loved ones. It's definitely creepy by today's standards, but in Victorian times, it was seen as a way to honor the dead and keep their memory alive. Alright, let's wrap things up with a story that's both disgusting and strangely fascinating. We're talking about ancient Rome, gladiators, and sweat. Yes, you heard me right. Gladiator sweat was a hot commodity in ancient Rome. I know, it sounds absolutely disgusting, but hear me out. Gladiators were like the rock stars of their time. They were strong, they were famous, and they smelled, well, probably not great. But that didn't stop the Romans from wanting a piece of the action. People believed that gladiator sweat had magical properties. They thought it could cure acne, heal wounds, and even make them more beautiful. So how did they collect this magical sweat? Well, they scraped it off the gladiators' bodies after they fought. Yep, you just heard that right. They literally scraped sweat off of sweaty, bloody gladiators and bottled it up. And the worst part, people paid good money for it. They used it as a face cream, a deodorant, and even a love potion. So there you have it, folks. 6 bizarre historical facts that prove truth is often stranger than fiction. From Napoleon's bunny defeat to the dance craze that wouldn't quit, we've covered it all. Don't forget the ancient Egyptians and their fake beard obsession, Australia's war on emus, and the Victorians who just couldn't let go, literally. And of course, we can't forget the Romans and their unique skincare routine. Which fact made you say, what the loudest? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more mind-blowing content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a weird history lesson. Until next time, stay curious, stay weird, and remember, history is full of surprises. Just maybe not the sweat-scraping kind.